kitchen items, and much, much more. For maximum peace of mind with minimum fuss, log on to beacon.co.tt and choose your package today. Call us at 440-4447 for more info today.
And we are back on the inside to jumpstart another week inside the ladies' room. And I want to say special morning to everybody tuning in as always. If you're listening via radio, remember we are also live on Facebook. Good morning, Andrea. You're early. Good morning, Vanny. Welcome, guys. And don't forget, just cool. Good morning. As soon as you come on into the room, to hit the share button so we can give other folks the opportunity to be part of our conversation this morning. Now, it's not no ordinary morning. I actually feel like I'm the boss today because interviewing the boss is like I'm interviewing him, giving him a job. So he's in the room, we're in the office, and I got some questions for him. So I'm totally in charge of the room this morning. So it's a different kind of feeling and a good one to imagine. We've been this year will be our 5th anniversary, and he has never touched the mic on air. Would have done our little things out in the lobby. He would touch it for a little bit, but he has never been in studio on this mic like this. Almost 5 years. So it's indeed a special morning. So folks coming into the room, let me just give you a second again, and we're gonna kick it off this morning with this very special conversation we'll be having with our CEO of Power 95, Mr. Glendon Langaigne. This morning he had to call me Miss Neptune.
Yes, Corona. Good
Okay,
morning. Good morning.
let me get him in. You guys are ready? All right, so let's get him in. Good morning. I didn't even call you boss. I know if to call you. I was supposed to address you this morning.
Boy. Aruna, good morning to you. Good morning to all the listeners of Power 95 on the mobile app around the world on our URL power95fm.com, on Facebook. If you're on TuneIn or Zeno Media, whichever way you choose to listen to us, good morning. Aruna, you could call me as you usually call me, Glenn. And I'll call you Aruna.
Wonderful. That works. So be very comfortable with that part of it. So those of you joining us and probably would have heard the name but couldn't put a face to it, now you can definitely see who is the power behind power this morning. So we're gonna jump right into it. And we want to talk about you, and then we're going to talk about power and all that we are about and what we'll be doing. Like I said, you've never done this in this sort of medium, so I'm very happy to have you on. Finally, have you in the ladies' room this morning. So you're right up there with all the other distinguished guests that I've had so far. Of course, we would have set the premise of you, the boss, Power 95, but like everybody else, had to do some digging and to find out more about the person, Glendon Langaigne. And those of you who are curious, you can also do it. Google him and you'll see a whole lot of interesting facts. One of which is technology, and that's definitely your forte. That's definitely your baby, even before power came along. So tell us more about yourself before we get started on power.
Well, first and foremost, thank you again for having me in the ladies' room. And I came to Grenada in the early 1980s with my parents, my mom being Jamaican, my dad being Grenadian. And he came back to his homeland, settled in Marigot, St. John. So big up to all the people of Granary, Marigot, Concord, Black Bay, Guelph. Those were my early stomping days, grounds, all family and friends out there. So I went to Granary Government School. I attended Shaper, St. John's Christian Secondary School. Hail up to them as well. I haven't been around quite a lot, as you could imagine. I've been busy. I tend to think that I'm going to change that pretty soon and reclaim some of my early territory up there, hopefully. And, I'm married to Denise Park Langaigne, who is actually our Director of Sales and Marketing at Power. And I have a beautiful daughter, April. So that's me in a nutshell.
The fun that all of us having dying is like you actually were on radio and you're doing your big up segment, big up who won who where. So we probably had to
Well, I have to pick up my crew. Right?
probably had to find a space to stick you in somewhere in the night, just give you the graveyard punch or something. Um, so we hear the name Power all the time, and of course, a lot of people often ask, well, there are so many radio stations in Grenada. You could have done practically anything that involved technology and could have put your expertise to use, but you chose radio. And when I say you, I'm not just meaning yourself, but we get the gist of it. But you're the one I'm talking to today. So, how did Power 95? Why you chose radio, and how did the idea all start?
Um, Way back in around 2001, myself and Denise were having this conversation, and it was really around at the time she was working in another media entity in Grenada, and I was heavily involved in telecommunications at the time. And the conversation was around how media will change in the coming years, and also what the impact of technology would have on media. And we had all differences of opinion, but one thing was sure between both of us was that there would be a convergence of technology and media at some point in time in the future. And hence, a company was registered in the name of Media One Inc., which is actually the parent company of Power 95. And Media One really represented the coming together of all media into one kind of body, the version of video, audio, and other things, which we didn't really know what those other things were going to be at that point in time. And fast forward, we had a hurricane that hit us. We had many things that happened during that time, and then around 2010, 2011, we decided to revisit that conversation that we had, and we felt that the technology was getting to a place where that convergence was about to happen. We also felt that there was a kind of space where the youth who have a different take on how they consume entertainment and information were being dropped off. So in designing Power 95, we really wanted to make sure it had a youthful spirit and a youthful vibe and really connected with a youthful audience. That being said, we also understood that many of the persons that are actually in my age group also like to feel youthful. So we felt that it would actually, also be for them who want to be having a youthful heart, a youthful spirit, and so on. And one of the important things that we also recognized was that we had to be digital. That radio, as it was in the past, was people don't really go out and buy transistor radios anymore. And it was one of the reasons why radio was actually falling off a cliff. I mean, it's very hard for you to actually listen to the quality of sound on radio as opposed to maybe on YouTube, which was one of the reasons why many of our young people were actually listening to YouTube, because it's actually more digital than what you would get over the air. So you would see that we actually introduced our mobile app when we launched in 2005, and it's still running today. You would recognize that we are present online quite a lot, and it's one of the focus areas that we have. But we also recognize that our frequency and our bands, 95.1 and 95.3, are still relevant and are still very important to the psyche and the mental of what we do at Power 95.
We're gonna expand on that in just a bit, but a while ago you made the statement. Of course, we are catering towards the youthful population, and youth, of course, the cutoff point is at 35. But we're catering to youth. But what I've realized over time is that, especially when we have our events, the folks that you see coming out, it's a wide cross section. We have the young, the middle, and then we have older folks who are part of our events and what have you. So it means that we're reaching more than what we catered for, that is youth. So whatever we're doing here, it transcends out into the public, and they're gravitating
Well,
towards that.
definitely, Arona, definitely. I mean, when we say youth, we really mean a youthful spirit, right? We don't necessarily mean that you're of a young age. We just believe that youth meaning that type of energy, that type of vibe that usually is surrounded by, a youthful atmosphere. So now, don't get me wrong. We have to remember that people also remember their youth. So you would see events like Trapped in the 90s, right? And you would see persons of an older age actually reminiscing their youth and youthful days, which is important as well as part of our youthful station. That's what we try to do, to bring out the youth and the youth in you, if you want to call it that.
Mhm. Now, with over 25 years of experience, and you told us how you'd have started with technology and all that, I'm curious, what about technology that really excites you?
Technology is really about finding solutions to today's problems. And that's one of the things that really brought me front and center to technology, solving complex issues. And it's taken me to places far and wide across the globe, doing different things. But what excites me the most is, the future of technology and how technology will be used to actually, help solve some of the things in the world that, otherwise would be very difficult, from, water in deserts to electricity in unurban areas, to how do we actually educate our youth in a better way, and all of those practical things. Technology seems to be the way to go to bring solutions to people. So that's one of the reasons why I love technology so much.
Well, we can definitely say that technology has proven itself, because I mean, on the lockdown and COVID, look at how we have. You should be in the studio under normal circumstances. You'd be here from the mic, and we're doing this. But we're utilizing technology. So I guess you had the foresight and the vision, and realizing somewhere down the road that technology would be the place to go. But at the same time, when you look at our youthful population, and I had that conversation last week, a lot of our young people are interested in jobs like the lawyer and the doctor and what have you, but technology is there's so much different aspects to it. What would you say to a young person thinking of a career choice, and professionals who are interested in pursuing technology like yourself?
Um, Technology, if you're into technology, you have to prepare for lifelong learning. Technology is always changing, and it's a very exciting field, but it can also be overwhelming. There's never a period of time where you could just say, okay, I'm just gonna relax and I'm not gonna learn anything. You would probably miss, quite a lot. You have to be, in the game and continuing to learn. The other thing is, um, I believe every young person, whether you're into technology or another field, you need to find a mentor or a group of people that are like-minded, that you discuss, technology and career and goals with. Is very important, because it makes you learn things that you on your own through reading or otherwise wouldn't really learn. And you learn from experiences of others, whether they're your own age, younger or older. It's irrelevant. And the other thing I would say to persons that want to get into technology is they should understand that technology is more than just doing. So if you're into technology and you found a solution for something that benefits people, you should try to monetize that and try to make it something that you become an entrepreneur of. So rather than just, being a programmer or so, you do more than that. And a classic example of that is Zuckerberg, who, he found a benefit to people and he created an empire, which is Facebook. So we need to have more of that type of thinking for our young technology professionals.
What are your thoughts on, as you said that, you mentioned, like-minded people on technology is always a good balance. What do you think about think tanks? Would that work in Grenada where technology is concerned?
Definitely. Think tanks are always good, but I don't think think tanks should be limited to persons in Grenada. I think if you're doing a think tank now, because of the way technology is, you could do a think tank that's global. You don't have to do a think tank of only local technology persons. You could do that with persons in India, Australia, Africa. You could form a think tank and you could, become part of a global cooperative or corporation, as you want to put it, and bring ideas to the market.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. But I just think, well, at least we have to start somewhere. So we probably could start locally and then expand as we go along to involve. Because there's so many brilliant people out there, and you would do a simple search or a YouTube search, and the amount that pops up, it's really amazing. But coming back to the whole technology, I want to tie in technology with COVID-19 and where it caught us. I don't think anybody at all, any country, whatever, was prepared for COVID-19 the way it came. We thought, okay, it's in China, whatever, they're gonna deal with the stuff over there. We're gonna do our thing, and we had nothing to worry about. Then came COVID-19, still present. It's not going anywhere. So, from a managerial position, how would you say we would have dealt with this pandemic?
Well, you're right. I mean, when COVID-19 came around, I remember back in March, I actually traveled the first week in March when COVID was actually in the air. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think I would do that today. But I mean, at that time, we really wasn't, paying it serious attention. And in the space of a week when I traveled, everything just seemed to change. When I got to my destination, as a matter of fact, just going to a restaurant required you to sanitize your hands before you sat down, and the tables were already starting to be separated and distant. To the time I actually was coming back through Miami, the roads were almost, no vehicles. Persons were actually trying to hog supplies off shelves and so on. So, and this was early March. So by the time I landed in Grenada, I decided automatically to actually self quarantine myself for 14 days out of fear of what I experienced overseas, basically. And as you would know, we started to limit our own interactions at the station, started to do our own remote team meetings using the remote tools that we had, and started to do social distancing practices from since then. And the technology at the time, we use it for our remote meetings. And then, we realized that we still had to continue our conversations with people. We still had to have interviews. Now more than ever, people needed to know what was going on. So again, technology played a role in us facilitating that and making sure that, the message of COVID-19 from the task force for the Ministry of Health and otherwise was brought out to the people, and people could actually hear what was going on. Fortunately, technology was in place to make that easier. So, and I believe that yourself and the other team members have done a wonderful job of using the technology to ensure that people remain engaged with what's going on with COVID. And, COVID is a very serious disease. We need to, continue to follow the advice of the Ministry of Health. We need to continue to, practice social distancing and wash our hands and so on, and continue to be informed, which is what we are doing, and be informed not just locally, but also regionally and internationally as what's going on. It's very important.
So, as with everything else, as yin yang, negative, positive, what would you say are the positives coming out of COVID-19? What that we'd have learned, and how would that reshape our future as we move on?
Well, for Power 95, I can say that I think one of the things that we have learned is that we are actually pretty agile, that we can actually change and do things differently. So I think that's a learning that we've come across as a result of COVID-19. I think that the structural changes that we have made to remain relevant to the market, to ensure that we stay in tune with what's going on in Grenada and around the region and the world. I think that is testament to how the talented team that we brought together can do great things. I think we have shown that we are flexible, that we could work with each other in strenuous times, And I think that moving forward, we're going to see technology play an even greater role in what we do and how we do it going forward.
This year would be our fifth year already. It seems like just yesterday we were sitting meeting, having a conversation about getting this off the ground, and here we are now. I mean, almost 5 years already. What are your thoughts on the journey from then to now? If you were okay, put yourself in the position as a listener and manager, how would you rate Paul at this time?
Um, it's a very difficult question. I mean, I'll be always biased and say it's a 10, right? But you
So you
know, you live
bias
and you
and
learn. You
mhm.
know, you live and you learn, and we've had our learning experiences over the 5 years. I think we've grown from strength to strength. I think that the team that we have and we've chosen to bring this product to market has done an exemplary job. Those that are here with us today and those that are actually not with us anymore, I believe all of these persons contributed to our success as we stand here and sit here today. How do we celebrate 5 years now? I mean, we was hoping and planning that we could have celebrated it differently, but I'm assuming it's not really going to happen. We may have something small. Let's see what happens. Maybe a birthday cake. But Carnival as well this year, we was hoping that we could have done a lot more, but we made the decision that COVID is still in the air, and sometimes with great power comes great responsibility, and we felt that we could not ignore the fact that COVID being around, that we had to be responsible and not do what we normally do. And obviously, what we do requires a lot of planning. And with the early part of the year, the situation that it was, a lot of our plans had to be put on hold. And at Paul, when we do something like Carnival, it's actually way up. So we had to actually postpone what we do this year and do something slightly different, slightly more toned down, and put our focus on COVID, because as you can see around the globe, places are shutting down again. And Miami, which is very close to us, is having a difficult time in trying to maintain this virus. And even St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I'm seeing some cases there as well over the weekend. So we have to be vigilant. We have to continue to communicate to our people around the importance of social distancing, wearing your mask, and so on, and continue to heed the advice of the Ministry of Health and the professionals.
The folks in the chat, they're saying that we could have a motorcade. There's a lot of social distancing having a motorcade.
I don't know if they've actually seen the motorcades that we've done in the past. I don't know how we can do social distancing.
They want us to stop on those motorcades. We just drive and blow our horns and play music.
But we're open to all ideas, so you never know. If somebody has, the way they could do it.
A social distancing motorcade versus we just drive, we keep our songs, we have a good time on the road, and we don't stop.
Yeah.
But throughout the 5 years, though, what would you say would have been the biggest challenges that you would have had to face? I mean, speaking on behalf of the other management team as well.
I believe that running a radio station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week itself is a challenge, especially an engaging product like what we have, that we set out to provide a platform that engages our listeners all the time. Anytime you turn on, you should feel engaged, you should feel the same spirit, you should feel the same energy. And to keep that going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is obviously a challenge. And you know what helped us was the technology that we put into place to make that happen. So the technology has actually worked for us quite a great deal. And I would say that any business you start up, radio station or otherwise, there's always going to be challenges that you're going to have with anything. So every business to me has the same similar challenges that a startup would have, and a radio station is no different. You have to manage a team of people. You have to make sure your team is motivated to do the job that you've designed them to do. You have to make sure that your operations remains fluid and financially stable. So all of these things are challenges that we would have had to go through the first 5 years. And knock wood, we're still here. And I think we've done a good job of maintaining those challenges and continuing to move from strength to strength.
Is it difficult getting people to buy into your vision to see what you're seeing?
Well, radio, if you think about radio, a lot of people believe radio is a dying breed. And, I probably was once like that as well. In my early discussions with Denny's, I probably would have said, hey, I'm not really interested in radio. But radio has changed. So, and we would see radio and its definition change over time in the future. What we would see it probably as is digital audio. And digital audio, which some people would quote unquote still call radio, is really going to be the digital version of what we used to call the transistor radio years ago. So you would consume audio online, you would consume audio via your mobile device, and you would consume audio via your Alexa, your Google Voice, and all of these other devices. And it's not really radio you're consuming. You're consuming a product that is digital audio. And because of that, what we're going to see is that audio is going to take its place amongst all the other forms of business success tools that are out there, whether it's social media or otherwise. And you could say the same for TV, because television as it was back in the day is no longer, what it is today. And television is really video, and it's really digital video. And that digital video can be consumed in so many different places. So we have to look at it and conceptualize it as it is currently, and it's going to change. And that's where we believe, Power 95 is placed strategically with its technology focus to actually be part of that conversation and part of the Grenadian fabric.
Interesting comment in the chat was that radio is not dying; it has evolved. And we have definitely been part of that evolution, because before Power and when I started like years ago, I was still playing CDs. When was the last time you've seen a CD? Or you're playing the TDK cassettes and having to take it out?
I saw a CD the other day. It was a wind chime. Those wind chimes you have that you hang up to.
To protect your house against bats as well. That's what so it has really evolved. And sure that a lot of folks, the old school ones, they probably would have had a hard time adapting, but this wasn't something they had a choice with. They had to either adapt or you got left, because that's the way it is now. CD players, vinyl, having to. Could you imagine having a radio station and you have crates of vinyls that you have to play every single day?
Couldn't happen. My mom is probably in her 70s now, and she's also on the mobile app, and she's also listening. So I mean, and to be honest with you, a lot of persons in the upper ages have found that the online experience is very, very good to them. It keeps them engaged. It keeps them in contact much more than before on WhatsApp and other forms, so that they are actually entertained throughout the day much easier than before, when you had like the transistor radio and the fixed phone line and so on. So there's an audience there as well. So
it works. But as with so many things, so many ways to communicate with people. Why do you think businesses still choose radio as a means of getting their information out? They still believe and trust in radio to get that message across. There's virtually thousands of other platforms where you can throw your message out and you don't have to dip in your pocket, but people still believe in radio. What do you think is responsible for that?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I think every business may have different reasons why they do it. I think one of the important reasons is relevance and local context, and also engagement. radio has a way of emotionally engaging with its audience, unlike other mediums, right? The ability to actually reference somebody locally, the ability to actually speak about a local product or service. And also, radio is still, in terms of a mass market communication tool, it's still the cheapest. You could think that you may be able to do something on a social media platform that could engage thousands and thousands of people, but you have to remember there's time and effort that you're putting into that. There's also creatives that needs to be done, and in some cases you have to actually sponsor or pay for the direction of your ad to be seen and heard by the relevant persons. In radio, you get to do that quite easily, and pretty much target a local audience at mass. So I think businesses realize that, and I'm very grateful that they choose Power to do that. We obviously have an engaging platform, and with programs like your own, we have a captive audience that persons can actually get business success from.
Well, we are speaking with the CEO of Power 95, Glendon Langaigne. For those of you just coming in and would have missed quite a bit, remember you can always check out our Facebook page. It's posted after, so you can see it from the beginning. Now, like you said, we're moving on. Fifth year. What sort of reassurance or can you give our listeners and, of course, those viewing right now on the way forward for Power 95? What can they look forward to? Because
Uh,
we don't sleep on nothing. We always
um, there's going to be some new stuff happening, most definitely. But right now, our focus really is going to be on getting through this period of COVID. And, it's uncertain times. So we have to make a plan that has short term, medium term, and long term goals. In the short term, we need to focus on making sure we're safe, making sure we're healthy, making sure the nation and everybody in the diaspora connected to us remain safe as well. In the medium term, we have to start planning how we're actually going to come out of COVID. So, what changes we're going to make at Power 95 and how we're going to, move to the next level. And in the long term, we have to remember that we're an engagement platform, that we like to be emotionally connected to our audience. And we're going to look for more ways to do that, to make sure that our audience, continues this lifelong journey with us.
so. Before we wrap up, I'm seeing a lot of business owners tuned in. What advice would you give to them as we navigate through this COVID-19 period as one business owner to another? What would you say to them?
Every business is different. We're in the service sector, so monies that and revenues that we lost via the period, we're not going to regain. Other businesses may be different, but one thing that we have done, which has brought us success, is having discussions with our partners, our sponsors, working with them, making sure that we're on the same page. Where we can help. So it's about working with your vendors, your suppliers, your partners, and also having an open and honest conversation with your employees, because it's not going to be easy times. It definitely wasn't over the last 3 months, and we're not sure how long those times are going to be. I mean, we know the story of our economy and its dependencies. We know that they are not happening at the moment. We are very aware of that. So we have to find ways together to navigate through this period. Because the reality is some of the revenue that some of the business owners are going to lose are just not going to come back. So we have to find ways to work with each other to get through this. And so my thing to everyone, all business owners, is to have faith, have courage, and just have open and honest conversations with the people that intertwine with your business.
Somebody here is asking when will he be able to give you the opportunity to make your show longer. Listen, I'm good. Don't try and instigate no.
Or another show.
We're good. Thank you very much for that. So, well, any final words before we go, Glenn? And of course, thank you so much. First time touching the mic. We'll have to evaluate you after to see if you can do that for 12 to 6 in the morning,
Yes, sir.
and decide what's going to happen there. But any final words to our listeners and viewers before we go?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you to our partners and sponsors who always, you know, support us, and a special thank you to our listeners who are always engaged with us, that follow us, listen to us each day, follow us on Facebook and elsewhere. Without them, I guess as much we wouldn't be here. So thank you very much. And I also want to thank our staff, our talented team of people that we've brought together to make great things happen at Power 95. Without them, obviously the show wouldn't go on. So I want to say a special thank you to them as well for all the stuff that they've done, for the hard work that yourself in particular as well and others have put through during the period. I also see you have a very interesting guest in the ladies' room tomorrow, which should be a very interesting conversation.
I'm looking forward to that one.
You know, I actually lived in St. Vincent at one point in time in my life, so I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. So thank you to everybody that's logged on. And
well, you're getting ratings. They say you need your own show, Power Tech.
maybe in the future, you never know, Runa.
That's a good idea, Brenda. Power Tech. I like that. Give him a 15-minute segment every day, Power Tech. It has been a pleasure as always. And of course, looking forward to having you back in the room. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Runa. Thank you. Great job.
All right. And don't forget, folks, tomorrow we will be having the Prime Minister of St. Vincent in the room. Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonzalez will be sitting in the ladies' room chair. So make sure you guys come on in and be part of that conversation we'll be having with Prime Minister Gonzalez tomorrow at 11 o'clock right here on Power 95. All right. So this has been another ladies' room, starting the week with our CEO of Power 95, Glendon Langaigne. Thanks so much to everyone in the room for your well wishes. Thank you so much for your support. Definitely looking forward to much more of that as we move on. Thanks so much for sharing and, of course, being part of the program. Have a good one, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Don't forget, 11 o'clock, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent will be in the chair with me. This segment came to you through the kind compliments of Western Union, Subway, and Beacon Insurance.